Ladies and gentlemen, why do so many people stop just a little short of the life they were born to live? Why do so many people begin with hope, with hunger, with fire in their eyes, and then slowly, quietly, almost without noticing it, let that fire burn down to smoke? Why do so many dreams die not in a storm, not in a disaster, but in the daily habits of average thinking, in the slow surrender to fear, distraction, doubt, and the need to be like change? Let me ask you something right now, and I want you to feel this question in your chest, not just hear it with your ears. What would happen to your life if you stopped asking for permission to become great? What would happen if you stopped waiting for applause before you took the first step? What would happen if you stopped measuring your worth by the changing moods of other people? What would happen if you stopped treating your future like a lottery ticket and started treating it like a responsibility? What would happen if, starting today, you made a decision so strong, so settled, so unshakable, that no criticism could move it, no setback could erase it, and no temporary discomfort could defeat it? Because that is where the battle is won. Not in the marketplace, not in the office, not on the stage, not in the bank account. The battle is won in the mind. The battle is won in the choices you make when nobody is clapping. The battle is won in the private hours when the alarm clock rings, when temptation whispers, when laziness offers you a softer pillow, when excuses come dressed like reason, when doubt says tomorrow, and fear says you are not enough. Most people fail because they do not understand this one great truth. Failure usually does not arrive wearing a dramatic mask. It does not always come like a thunderclap. More often, failure is quiet. Failure is a postponed decision. Failure is one more morning in bed. Failure is one more compromise. Failure is one more surrender to the crowd. Failure is one more excuse repeated until it becomes identity. Failure is one more day spent asking, what will people think, instead of asking, what must I become? And that is why so many people never rise above average. They are not destroyed by a single event. They are dissolved by 1,000 small choices, 1,000 tiny betrayals of their own potential, 1,000 moments where they knew what was right but chose what was easy. 1,000 chances to build character and they chose comfort instead. 1,000 opportunities to be brave and they chose to blend in. But today can be different. Today can be the day you stop living by accident and start living by design. Today can be the day you stop drifting and start deciding. Today can be the day you stop being pulled by the opinions of others and start being led by the truth of who you are. Today can be the day you look at your own life with honesty, with courage, with respect, and say, enough. I was made for more than this. You know, there is a strange kind of poverty that has nothing to do with money. A person can be surrounded by possessions and still be poor in spirit if they do not respect themselves. A person can have followers and still be weak if their self-image is built on applause. A person can have talent and still never become great if they keep handing the steering wheel of their life to the crowd. Self-respect is not arrogance. Self-respect is not thinking you are better than others. Self-respect is refusing to live beneath your own standards. Self-respect is waking up and saying, my life matters, my time matters, my choices matter, my words matter, my habits matter, my future matters. Self-respect is not something you put on for the world. It is something you carry within yourself, and it changes the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you work, the way you love, the way you endure. Too many people say they want success, but what they really want is comfort with applause. They want the reward without the road. They want the crown without the climb. They want the story without the sacrifice. But life does not hand out greatness like a free sample at a store. Greatness is grown. Greatness is trained. Greatness is tested. Greatness is formed in the heat of discipline, the pressure of persistence. And discipline, my friends, is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. That sounds strange to people who have never practiced it. They think discipline is a cage. They think discipline is a burden. They think discipline is the enemy of joy. But the truth is the opposite. Discipline is the bridge from intention to achievement. Discipline is the strength that carries your future across the river of your present weakness. Discipline is the ability to do what must be done even when you do not feel like doing it. And if you can master that, you can master more of life than most people ever will. Most people fail because they wait to feel ready. But readiness is often the reward, not the requirement. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. Confidence is not pretending you never doubt. Confidence is moving forward despite doubt. Strength is not never falling. Strength is getting back up with a clearer mind, a cleaner heart, and a stronger will. There are people listening right now who have been sabotaging their own destiny with one sentence.
I am not ready. Not ready to start, not ready to speak, not ready to apply, not ready to lead, not ready to change.
Not ready to try again, not ready to be seen, not ready to be judged, not ready to risk embarrassment. But let me tell you something powerful. The world does not reward readiness as much as it rewards responsibility. The world rewards the person who shows up. The world rewards the person who begins. The world rewards the person who learns in motion. The world rewards the person who says, I may not know everything, but I know enough to take the next step. Change. Do you know why so many people remain trapped? Because they believe change must feel glorious before it is real. They wait for a sign, a mood, a miracle, a motivation wave that carries them effortlessly into a new life. Change. But the secret that can help you rise above everyone starting today is not waiting for a feeling. The secret is deciding who you are, deciding what you stand for, deciding what you will no longer tolerate, deciding what you will build, what you will protect, what you will refuse to trade away. When a person decides with enough conviction, life begins to rearrange itself around that decision. You see, purpose gives pain meaning. Without purpose, hardship feels like a sentence. With purpose, hardship becomes training. Without purpose, sacrifice feels like loss. With purpose, sacrifice becomes investment. Without purpose, failure feels like a verdict. With purpose, failure becomes feedback. That is the difference. Purpose changes the language of your life. Purpose tells you why you rise, why you endure, why you keep going when your knees are tired, when your heart is heavy, when your path is unclear. Change. People who do not know their purpose are easily managed by distraction. Every message can move them. Every trend can shape them. Every criticism can shake them. Every compliment can seduce them. They become a boat with no anchor, a ship with no compass, a tree with shallow roots. The wind does not need to be strong to move them because they were never grounded. But when purpose enters the soul, a person becomes dangerous in the best possible way. They become dangerous to mediocrity, dangerous to laziness, dangerous to self-pity, dangerous to the old story that said, this is all you will ever be. Purpose turns an ordinary individual into a person who can withstand storms that would have crushed the old version of themselves. So ask yourself, what is your purpose? Not your hobby, not your temporary interest. It's not what looks good on social media. What is the deeper reason you are alive? What burden do you feel called to carry? What kind of person do you want to become when nobody is ranking you, when nobody is comparing you, when nobody is cheering or booing? Who are you when the performance is over and only your character remains? That is the question. And let me tell you, the people who rise above everyone are not the ones with the loudest voices. They are often the ones with the clearest inner direction. They do not need the crowd to validate their path. They do not need every skeptic to become a believer. They do not need constant applause to keep moving. They have something stronger than approval. They have conviction. There is a freedom that comes when you stop needing everyone to understand you. Some of the greatest decisions in your life will be misunderstood by people who are comfortable with the old version of you. Some of your strongest growth will look like selfishness to those who benefited from your weakness. Some of your boundaries will disappoint people who were used to your availability. Some of your discipline will offend people who preferred your excuses because your excuses kept you small and familiar. But do not confuse resistance with wrongness. If you change and everyone around you instantly celebrates, maybe you did not change deeply enough. Real growth makes people uncomfortable. Real growth challenges expectations. Real growth says, I am no longer available for the life that kept me asleep. Real growth asks you to let go of the need for external validation, because external validation is a moving target. One day they praise you, the next day they forget you. One day they love your courage, the next day they call it arrogance. One day they ask for your help. The next day they criticize your boundaries. If you build your soul on the shifting sand of approval, it means you will spend your whole life trying to stand still while the ground keeps moving. So build on something stronger. Build on principles. Build on discipline. Build on truth. Build on character. Build on the quiet satisfaction of doing what is right, even when it is hard, even when it is unseen, even when it is not popular. Build on the knowledge that your worth is not assigned by the crowd. Your worth was never theirs to grant and never theirs to remove. Listen carefully. Emotional independence does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop being controlled. It means other people can have opinions without owning your identity. It means criticism can be heard without becoming your inner voice. It means praise can be received without becoming addiction. It means love is chosen, not begged for. It means peace is protected. It means not negotiated away every time someone else becomes emotional. Some people are so dependent on the reactions of others that they become strangers to themselves. They laugh when they want to cry. They agree when they want to disagree. They stay silent when they need to speak. They shrink when they should stand. They change their dreams to fit the room. They compromise their values to avoid rejection. And then one day they wake up and ask, who am I? That question hurts because it is honest. But there is still time. There is always time to come home to yourself. There is always time to recover your voice. There is always time to reclaim your standards. There is always time to stop asking everyone else for a mirror and begin seeing yourself clearly. There is always time to say, I am done living in reaction. I am done performing for acceptance. I am done chasing approval like it is air. I choose truth, I choose discipline, I choose growth, I choose the higher road. And the higher road is rarely crowded. That is why it is higher. The low road is crowded because it requires less from you. It asks for less thinking, less courage, less restraint, less honesty, less sacrifice. The low road lets you sleep when you should build. It lets you complain when you should create. It lets you blame others when you should face yourself. It lets you compare when you should improve. It lets you stay entertained instead of becoming equipped. But the higher road calls you to rise. It asks you to master your impulses. It asks you to guard your mind. It asks you to choose long-term respect over short-term pleasure. It asks you to become the kind of person whose habits can carry the weight of their dreams. And make no mistake, your habits are not small things. Your habits are the handwriting of your destiny. If you want to know where your life is going, examine what you repeat. Examine what you tolerate. Examine what you excuse. Examine how you spend your mornings, your evenings, your energy, your attention. The future is often hidden inside the ordinary actions you do when no one is watching. A person does not drift into excellence. They train into it. A person does not stumble accidentally into self-respect. They practice it. They do not stumble into confidence. They build it. They do not stumble into emotional independence. They earn it through repeated acts of courage, repeated acts of restraint, repeated acts of honesty. They say no when no is needed. They say yes when yes is aligned. They get up when they could stay down. They keep promises to themselves. They become trustworthy in private because private integrity becomes public strength. And that is where many people fail. They are willing to promise the world, but unwilling to be faithful to themselves. They make dramatic declarations, but they cannot keep small commitments. They dream big, but they treat small habits as optional. They talk about transformation, but they keep returning to the same indulgences, the same distractions, the same emotional shortcuts. They want a better life, but they are unwilling to become the kind of person that a better life can trust. Let me tell you a truth that may wake you up. Your future is not waiting on more potential. Your future is waiting on more consistency. Potential is only promise. Consistency is proof. Potential says, I could. Consistency says, I do. Potential says one day. Consistency says today. Potential can impress people. Consistency changes lives. Potential can fill a room with excitement. Consistency can build a legacy. So stop being impressed with your own intentions and start respecting your own follow-through. Do you know why this matters so deeply? Because the person who keeps promises to themselves becomes the person others can trust too. If you cannot trust your own word, you will live divided. You will say one thing and do another. You will admire discipline but live by impulse. You will praise excellence but practice excuses. Your inner life and outer life will become strangers. But when your word and your action align, you become strong, you become whole, you become reliable. And reliability is a form of greatness that the world desperately needs. There is a story in every person who rises. Sometimes it is the story of a child who was overlooked and decided to become unforgettable. Sometimes it is the story of a young man who was told he would never amount to anything and chose to become evidence that the words of critics are not prophecies. Sometimes it is the story of a woman who carried disappointment, betrayal, and rejection, and still refused to let pain turn her into bitterness. Sometimes it is the story of someone who started late, who failed often, who stumbled badly, but who kept learning, kept adjusting, kept showing up, kept refusing to quit. The world loves the finished result, but greatness is built in the unseen middle. It is built while you are doubting yourself and still choosing to work. It is built while you are tired and still choosing to show up. It is built while nobody notices and you keep sharpening your skills. It is built while you are healing and still refusing to become weak. It is built while you are lonely and still choosing noble standards. It is built while you are tempted to lower your expectations and you say, no, I was made for more than this. Remember that you were made for more than this. Not more possessions alone. Not more noise alone. More meaning, more courage, more discipline, more wisdom, more character, more peace, more substance, more influence, more service, more depth, more inner strength, more self-respect. The tragedy is not that most people fail at one attempt. Everyone fails at something. The tragedy is that many people make failure their address. They move in and unpack there. They decorate it with excuses. They call it personality. They call it realism. They call it knowing their limits. But they are not living in truth. It means they are living in surrender. And surrender is contagious. A surrendered mind creates surrendered habits. Surrendered habits create surrendered relationships. Surrendered relationships create surrendered futures. That is why you must fight for your mind every day. You must refuse the voice that says, this is just who I am. No, that is not who you are. That is what you have practiced. And what you have practiced can be changed. What you have repeated can be replaced. What you have accepted can be rejected. What you have delayed can be begun. The first revolution is inside you, not around you. Inside you, the first conquest is not over people. It is over excuses. Over self-doubt, over emotional dependence, over the addiction to comfort, over the habit of comparing yourself to everyone else, over the need to be seen before you serve, to be praised before you persist, to be understood before you move. Some people are waiting to be discovered, but life often requires you to discover yourself first. Who are you when the phone is silent? Who are you when the room is empty? Who are you when nobody is calling your name? Who are you when the work is hard and the reward is distant? Who are you when the temptation is close and the crowd is absent? Who are you when there is no spotlight to decorate your effort? That is the person your future is meeting right now. And if that person is weak, your future will be fragile. But if that person is disciplined, your future will be strong. If that person is emotionally independent, your future will be peaceful. If that person has self-respect, your future will be protected. If that person has purpose, your future will be guided. If that person has confidence built on character, your future will be sturdy. Confidence, real confidence, is not noise. It is not swagger. It is not vanity. It is the quiet certainty that comes from knowing you have faced hard things honestly and kept moving. It is the calm that comes from having prepared. It is the grounded posture of someone who does not need to pretend because they have done the work. A confident person can walk into uncertainty without collapsing, because confidence is not the absence of challenge. It is familiarity with endurance. It is the memory of surviving what once seemed impossible. It is the evidence of yesterday saying to today, we have been here before and we made it through. So if you want confidence, do not chase it like perfume. Build it like muscle. Lift the weight of responsibility. Rehearse the skill. Keep the promise, face the fear, speak the truth, learn the lesson, repeat the action. Confidence will grow where competence and courage meet. And here is a one-liner for the soul. Self-respect is the shadow of self-discipline. You cannot consistently disrespect your own time and expect to respect your own life. You cannot constantly betray your own priorities and expect to trust yourself. You cannot keep giving your energy to noise and expect to build something meaningful. The life you want is often hidden on the other side of the habits you keep avoiding. This is why emotional independence matters so much. Because every time you hand your peace to someone else, you reduce your power. Every time you allow the opinion of another person to define your value, you hand them keys they were never meant to hold. Every time you let rejection make decisions for you, you become a prisoner of a moment instead of a steward of a future. There are people whose lives are governed by invisible judges. They are always asking, will they approve? Will they laugh? Will they support me? Will they leave me? Will they think I am enough? And while they are asking, time is passing. Opportunity is moving. Talent is aging. Courage is shrinking. Dreams are growing dusty on the shelf. Break that pattern. Respect yourself enough to let people misunderstand you. Respect yourself enough to be disliked for telling the truth. Respect yourself enough to be out of style with the crowd if it means staying aligned with your values. Respect yourself enough to choose peace over performance. Respect yourself enough to let your growth be private before it becomes public. Respect yourself enough to stop auditioning for the role of someone else's idea of success, because the truth is many people are tired not because they work hard, but because they live divided. They spend their days trying to manage impressions, soothe expectations, avoid disapproval, and maintain appearances. That kind of life drains the soul. But when you become clear about who you are, what you stand for, and where you are going, something powerful happens. You begin to move with less friction. You begin to breathe more deeply. You begin to live from the inside out. That does not mean life becomes easy. No. Life will still test you. It will still delay you. It will still invite you to quit. It will still throw embarrassment, uncertainty, rejection, and loss into your path. But now you will not be defined by those things. You will be refined by them. That is the difference between people who fail and people who rise above everyone else. They do not experience fewer storms. They become better sailors. They do not receive fewer wounds. They become better healers. They do not face less pressure. They become better steel. And steel is not strong because it has never been heated. Steel is strong because it endured the fire without losing its form. So let the fire teach you. Let the pressure reveal you. Let the delay develop you. Let the rejection redirect you. Let the criticism sharpen you. Let the loneliness deepen you. Let the hard season strengthen you. And let every setback remind you that your story is still being written. There is still time to rise. There is still time to rebuild. There is still time to become the person who no longer needs a crowd to confirm their calling. There is still time to choose discipline over drift, purpose over pleasure, truth over image, growth over comfort, and self-respect over approval. There is still time to let go of the need for validation. And that may be the very thing standing between you and the life you deserve. Because validation can become a cage. It can make you dependent on other people's moods. It can make your identity fragile. It can turn your heart into a mirror instead of a compass. But when you release that need, you become free to build, free to serve, free to lead, free to create, free to stand alone if necessary, free to stand with others if blessed, free to move according to conviction rather than applause. That kind of freedom is priceless. And it begins with one honest moment. The moment you say, I am done living small, say it again in your spirit. I am done living small, to done shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort, to done apologizing for wanting more. Done making excuses for what I know I must change, to living without a clear purpose, done waiting for confidence to arrive before I act, done allowing my emotions to rule my direction. Done seeking the approval of people who were never meant to govern my life, postponing the person I know I am capable of becoming. That is how change begins. Not with a fantasy, with a decision. And then comes the work, the real work. The daily work, the honest work, the work that nobody can do for you, The work of waking up when you would rather sleep, the work of reading when you would rather scroll, the work of practicing when you would rather perform. Change. The work of listening when you would rather defend yourself, the work of apologizing when your pride wants to protect you, the work of saying no to what weakens you so you can say yes to what strengthens you. Change. The work of building character in the quiet hours until your life begins to speak loudly without forcing it. Do not underestimate the compound effect of consistent growth. A single day of discipline may not look dramatic, but 100 days can rewrite your identity. 1,000 days can reshape your destiny. One small promise kept each day can become a mountain of evidence that you are no longer the same person who once gave up too easily, doubted too deeply, and depended too much on outside approval. And when evidence begins to pile up, your confidence becomes real. You stop hoping you are strong and start knowing you are stronger than you thought. You stop wondering whether you can handle pressure and start remembering the last pressure you survived. You stop asking whether your life matters and start living in a way that proves it does. You stop begging for permission and start carrying purpose. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20 and start honoring your own timeline, because your timeline is not late. Your timeline is alive. You are not behind in life. You are in training. You are not finished. You are forming. You are not too broken. You are being rebuilt. You are not too weak. You are becoming stronger in places nobody can see yet. And there is incredible dignity in that unseen becoming. Some of the most important victories will not be celebrated publicly. They will happen in your mind when you refuse a lie. They will happen in your heart when you choose forgiveness over bitterness. They will happen in your habits when you choose discipline over indulgence. They will happen in your soul when you choose integrity over convenience. They will happen in your spirit when you choose purpose over panic. That is real growth, not a performance, a transformation. And transformation always begins with truth. The truth that your life is your responsibility. The truth that nobody can live it for you. The truth that you cannot outsource your identity. The truth that no one else can make you consistent, brave, or faithful. The truth that the power you have been seeking has been waiting inside your own decisions. So rise. Rise from the version of yourself that settled too soon. Rise from the version of yourself that wanted comfort more than destiny. Rise from the version of yourself that kept asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I finally become who I was made to be? Rise from the version of yourself that needed constant reassurance and step into the version that carries inner certainty. Rise from the version of yourself that performed for acceptance and step into the version that stands on principle. Rise from the version of yourself that feared being alone and step into the version that can stand tall, whole, and unshaken. Not because life will be easy. It will not. Not because every person will support you. They will not. Not because every fear will disappear. It will not. But because the person you become on the journey will be stronger than the person you were when you began. And that is the victory. That is the secret. That is the way above average. Above fear, above pressure, above approval, above self-doubt, above procrastination, above emotional dependency, above the trap of living for applause, above the habit of surrender, above the old story, above the fear of not being enough. Starting today, choose the higher life. Choose the hard right over the easy wrong. Choose discipline when no one is forcing you. Choose purpose when confusion tries to seduce you. Choose self-respect when the crowd tempts you to shrink. Choose emotional independence when opinions start shouting. Choose growth when comfort calls you back. Choose confidence built in character. Choose the life that makes your soul proud. And when you choose it, do not choose it halfway. Choose it with your whole heart. Choose it with your whole mind. Choose it with your whole spirit. Choose it until it becomes visible in your habits, your speech, your posture, your relationships, your work, your standards, your peace, your courage, your presence. Because the world does not need another person who only talks about change. The world needs a person who embodies change. And maybe that person is you. Maybe the answer to somebody else's despair is your decision to rise. Maybe the answer to your own frustration is not more time, but more truth. Maybe the answer to your future is not luck, but leadership. Maybe the secret you have been searching for has been waiting patiently inside the simple, powerful, world-changing act of becoming disciplined, purpose-filled, self-respecting, emotionally free, and unashamed of your own growth. So today, stand up in your mind before you stand up in your life. Stand up to the excuses. Stand up to the fear. Stand up to the need for validation. Stand up to the old habits. Stand up to the voice that says you are ordinary. Stand up to the comfort that tries to seduce your destiny. And then one step at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time, build a life so strong that your past can no longer define your future. That is my message to you. Not just to dream, to do not just to wish, to work not just to hope, to decide, not just to survive, to rise with discipline, rise with purpose, rise with confidence, rise with self-respect, rise with emotional independence. Rise with a heart that does not beg for permission to be great. Rise with the knowledge that your life is not supposed to be a repeat of everyone else's fear. Rise with the quiet power of a person who has looked at their own soul and said, I will no longer live beneath my calling. And when that moment comes, when you finally step into the full weight of your own potential, you will realize something beautiful. The secret was never outside you. It was always inside you. It was always in your decision. It was always in your discipline. It was always in your courage. It was always in your willingness to stop asking the world who you should be and start answering life with the best version of yourself. So go now. Go with your head high. Go with your heart steady. Go with your standards intact. Go with your purpose awake. Go with your future in your hands. Go and become the proof that failure does not get the final word. Go and become the proof that self-respect can rebuild a life. Go and become the proof that discipline can defeat drift. Go and become the proof that confidence can be earned. Go and become the proof that emotional independence is freedom. Go and become the proof that purpose can carry a person farther than applause ever could. Go and rise above everyone starting today.